What's going on, Jeromes? So, like we talked about, love looking at the analysts and the experts' mock drafts because of varying perspectives on players, on what teams could and should do. And Matt Miller, who's been grand poobah of the draft, going back to Bleacher Report, been ESPN a couple of seasons. Matt Miller released his 7-round mock draft. I love 7-rounders. Just getting deep into the weeds. Who goes undrafted, who doesn't, all that stuff. And Miller. So I know that some Vikings fans are sort of polarized on this, a couple eyebrows raised, but overall, I ain't mad at this, especially if the Vikings do stick and pick. I mean, there's only going to be limited to 4 picks, but I mean, the Vikings could trade down and get some mo, but I kind of like how it was a matchup of BPA as well as they synced up with needs, and it's good to go. So the Vikings sticking and picking at 24. So Maxwell Hairston, cornerback from Kentucky. So he's definitely been a riser during draft season. And Hairston, it really is a what kind of corner do you want? Because you have guys like Jahdae Barron, who's more of a slot/safety in reality, but Siobhan Revell, you have Benjamin Morrison, you got Trey Amos. I mean, there's going to be a lot of really good corners at the back end of first round, top end of round 2. Vikings go with Hairston in this spot. This is what Miller wrote. The Vikings were aggressive in free agency, so they don't have many glaring needs, but there is a concern at cornerback where signees Isaiah Rodgers, and Jeff Okudah project more as temporary fixes, more long-term solution. Rodgers is a temporary fix? Okay. Hairston can definitely be a long-term building block. Not only is he feisty in coverage, but he has elite footwork and ran the fastest 40 of all the prospects at the combine, 4.28. Despite being 5'11", Hairston's long arms can lock down receivers when combined with his quickness. There are size and durability concerns as he missed 5 games in 2024 with a shoulder injury, but he has the best movement skills of any corner in this class. The Vikings have to get younger, faster, better at cornerback. Hairston can help them get there and boost their man coverage capabilities. I just had flashbacks. Like reading this, the description just reminds me of Mike Hughes. I was like, oh, we could have had Lamar Jackson. Oh, yeah, Mike Hughes. But Hairston, like Miller said, ran the fastest 40 of anyone at the combine. Also explosive in the jumps too. A great 10-yard split, which Kwesi puts a lot of weight into. And Hairston is a ball hawk. Hairston did get things done in Kentucky. Did miss 5 games in 2024, but career 6 interceptions. Took 3 to the house, which is pretty damn impressive. And he does really get after things. Like, he is one of those alpha-type cornerbacks that you know and love. His draft profile from Lance Erline, NFL.com. Slender outside cornerback, long arms, and impressive ball production. Hairston is capable of playing all forms of zone and man coverage. He anticipates ball with his eyes forward and a burst to take the ball away, which is good because zone and man, because there's some corners that are strictly zone, some corners that are more adept at man. So I think that Hairston does split right down the middle, where he's had extensive experience in both. Posting 6 interceptions, 3 returns for touchdowns over his last 20 games. He stays connected to man coverage with good agility and fluidity, but needs to do a better job locating the ball downfield. Well, you just call him a ball hawk. Yeah, he will struggle to contest big wideouts, and his run support will turn off some teams. Hairston has the athleticism and on-ball talent to become a starter, but he needs to prove he can hold up to the rigors and physicality of the NFL game. And with Hairston in that mix at cornerback. So Murph, Rodgers, who's not a short-term fix. Okudah is a low-risk, high-reward spot, and I still believe in Blackman and Nudie McLaughlin. So overall, Hairston to that mix, that cornerback room definitely checks the box there. Then in the 3rd round. So a lot of people do have issue with the Jalen Rivers pick. I think it's fine. I think it does raise some eyebrows in terms of scheme fit, as well as some other quality offensive linemen that were available. But, I mean, Rivers does pack a punch. He is super interesting. Although I did see one of the comments under Miller's mock tweet, or it's just like, I've never heard of him, so he must be bad. Okay. Jalen Rivers, guard for Miami. The Vikings... Oh, that's just the U being the U. The Vikings filled immediate needs of Ryan Kelly and Will Fries for agency, but Rivers has swing tackle potential as a rookie and could develop into a starting left guard. And here's his scouting report from Zerline again. A burly offensive lineman with natural anchor and above average length, Rivers is best suited for short spaces, familiar places, worn out places, where his athletic limitations can be mitigated. He could get a shot at right tackle, but slow feet don't eat. Will put him in harm's way against NFL edge rushers. He's sturdy at the point against bull rushers and space eaters. He works with stiff hips and below average base footwork, which often short circuit attempts to leverage and clear the gaps. He's a clunky mover who will be tied to scheme, but his mass and length increase his likelihood of finding starting reps at some point, provided he can stay healthy. So there's a couple red flags there. I mean, health is one, lack of athleticism is another, but at the end of the day, like, we want stoutness on the inside, and there has been a bit of a shift. From the undersized interior offensive lineman outside zone. Ryan Kelly's got mass and ass. Will Fries can get after things, and I do think that it could be a spot too where at minimum he's a solid backup. At maximum he could eventually develop into left guard, where, I mean, Rivers, there's some questions there. I don't think it's as bad as the Willie Beavers pick from back in the day, but in terms of schematically, like, it's not your traditional outside zone guy, but also it could be a sign that the Vikings are moving more towards a power team, which it isn't going to flip in one off season, but a gradual progression going from more zone to more gap. I mean, that could be in the pipeline, which I won't be mad. Speaking of the U, that's just the U being the U. Now, right away, people are going to pan this one. It's like, well, Restrepo ran a 4.8. There's reasons for that. So Restrepo even said that he had some hamstring issues before around the 40. Plus, if you watch his tape, like, he's not a 4.8 guy. He's not a 4.4 guy, but is he high 4.5s, 4.6? Sure. But also, straight line speed is not his game. Xavier Restrepo is a slot machine who is very adept at finding the dead spots in zone in the middle of the field, and that is what he does. He is Julian Edelman. He is Jamison Crowder. He is that guy, right? And last 2 years at the U, 2 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Last year with Cam Ward, 69, nice for 11-27 and 11 touchdowns. The dude just gets buckets, and he definitely got dinged during draft season because he didn't test the best. He wasn't going to test the best, but Restrepo is just a dude, right? And yeah, could you call him Hunter Renfro? Could you call him Jamison Crowder? Sure, he certainly could do that. And the Vikings, they would have a room for a guy like Xavier Restrepo, because Jefferson is Jefferson, Addison is Addison. Speedy Naylor, more that long vertical threat. Rondale Moore does thrive in the slot, except he's a lot different slot than Restrepo. Like, Restrepo is the definition of a possession receiver, and having a security blanket like that over the middle for J.J. McCarthy could make a ton of sense. Plus, getting Restrepo in the 5th round is huge value. Monstrous. Speaking of huge value, Aeneas Peoples. He's one of my favorite defensive linemen, and in the PFF mock simulator, you usually have to take him in the 3rd, 4th round, but getting him in the 6th, I would love that, man. All right, so Aeneas Peoples, defensive tackle from Virginia Tech at 187. So 4-year player at Duke, transferred to Virginia Tech. And it's fitting that he went to Duke because he does remind me a lot of Dwayne Carter, who's just another high motor former Blue Devil. But his one season at Virginia Tech, 30 tackles, 3 passes broken up, 3 sacks as well, 37 pressures, a 91.2 PFF pass rush grade, which is pretty damn good. Just a disruptive, high motor, high energy, getting after things. Ran a 4.9 40, great in the jumps as well. And he would bring a lot of juice to this defensive line that already has a ton of juice. You lack of the juice, huh? Now, you could say, sure, I mean, the Vikings didn't come away with a tier 1 nose tackle. The Vikings didn't really come away with a running back. They didn't come away with a tight end. They could do all that stuff. But if you are just going to stick and pick, I mean, there's only so many things that you can do with 4 draft picks. But Peebles in the 6, monster value. Restrepo taking advantage of a market inefficiency of teams being down on him because of his 40. We'll take that. Certainly take that all day. Rivers. I mean, Rivers is the pick where I raise the most eyebrows, but if the Vikings are just going pure physicality on the inside, it would make sense. And then Hairston's a stud. Hairston's really, really good. So overall, like, the Vikings, syncing up BPA as well as needs. I'm not mad at this draft. There's some question marks. There's some variables, but overall, Hairston, stud. Rivers, okay. Restrepo and Peebles, baby. we got a stew going. But that's it. Take a look at Matt Miller's 7-round mock draft over at ESPN, the worldwide bleeder. Let us know your thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.